Hey, it's JR again, and today we're talking about co-broke. What is co-broke? Do you have any idea what co-broke means? Co-broke, or the cooperation brokerage fee or payment, is the amount of money in a transaction at closing that the listing agent is going to share, or the listing broker is going to share with the cooperating broker. So let's say you're the seller. You are going to pay the listing broker 6% of the purchase price to sell your house, okay? The co-broke is the amount of money or percentage that the listing broker is going to share with the broker who brings the buyer to the closing table. So as the seller, you're paying the listing broker 6% or 5% or whatever it is you've agreed on with them. There is no standard fee or amount. At closing, that broker will share part of that money with the broker that brings the buyer. So you're not paying any additional money to get a buyer broker paid, and the buyer is not, this is in most cases, the buyer is not paying their broker for the transaction commission. There may be a small fee for administrative fees and stuff like that, but as far as the commission is concerned, the seller is typically paying all of that to the listing broker, and the listing broker is sharing it with the buyer's broker. Okay, so we're through that. Does the co-broke amount matter? The sad truth is, yes, it matters. There are some agents out there who will look at a listing and they'll say, what is the co-broke amount? Now, in our market in particular, the typical co-broke amount is 3% of the purchase price. Some agents, if they see a co-broke amount smaller than 3%, and that could be 3% also minus a $500 fee that the listing broker is charging to the buyer's broker. If it's less than 3%, the net, at the closing table, some agents will say, I'm not going to show that property. That property doesn't pay me enough to show it to my clients. Now, I think that is not an ethical way to behave, because the purpose of a buyer's agent is to help the buyer get into the house that's right for them at the price that's right for them. It's not supposed to be about how much money we get paid at closing. So I think it's unethical to not show that property. But the fact remains that happens. And so you have to know this as a seller. If you are hiring a listing broker who says, I'll do the listing for such and such amount, and I'm going to share 2% with the buyer's broker, you need to know that could harm the sellability of your house, because that limits the amount of brokers who may show your house. And you might think, well, the buyer can just go work with somebody else. That's true, they can. But if they're working with a broker who is acting in a way where they're not going to show a property based on the co-broke amount, then that broker may also tell that buyer anything about that house or about that neighborhood that could be untrue, and then cause them to not want to see your house either, regardless of who they're looking at it with. So in our company at Vanjie Berry Signature Realty, we have a policy in the manual that says co-broke will always be at least 3% of the purchase price, never any lower. Never 3% minus $250 or 3% minus $499. We'll not do that. It's part of the policy. That's it. Because we know the importance of offering that co-brokerage fee to the buyer's broker. Even if I had a listing at 5% or 4% or 3.5%, 3% is always going to go to the buyer's broker. That's how the property will be advertised to other brokers. So you need to know that that's important. That number, 2%, 3%. Whatever is normal in your market needs to be what's on that co-brokerage fee. Otherwise, you may be limiting the amount of potential buyers for your property based on all that stuff that I had said before. So, hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully it doesn't give you a bad taste in your mouth for some real estate agents. But the fact remains is that there are some out there who behave in that way, and know that it does affect you, regardless of what somebody may say that it won't affect you. It does. So keep that in mind when you're hiring somebody to list your property. Make sure that they are giving what is normal in the market to the other broker, so that way your house can get full exposure and a fair shot at getting sold. All right. If you have any questions about it, feel free to call us or email, whatever, and we'll be happy to answer them for you. Thanks.